Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. Jake here, and as I'm sure several of you are aware, yesterday and earlier today, Warner Brothers have announced that there's been a bit of a change-up with some of their movies. So, I'm just going to kind of run down some of this recent news and kind of give my thoughts on the change-ups. So first off, the release date for Justice League 2, whatever they end up calling it, has been pushed back. And the release date for Batman, the solo Batman movie, has been pushed up. Now, this decision, I think, actually makes a bit of sense, and, I'm kind of for it, because it makes a lot of sense, because, Justice League comes out next year. Lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. Just a whole lot is riding on that movie to be good. A lot was riding on Batman v Superman just because, just the hype that was around that movie. And for most people, that did not deliver the hype. And so I think what they're doing is they're going to try and do the opposite of what they did with Batman v Superman and just kind of... Because that was supposed to be like what really solidified their cinematic universe and what kind of ushered in the DC cinematic universe. But again, it didn't quite do what they wanted it to do, both financially and critically. Don't get me wrong, financially it did well. But I think Warner Brothers were thinking it would crack $1 billion easy. And again, it should have. It really should have, just with the DC Trinity alone. But again, that's kind of what happens when your movie's a mess. But, right after, I think like 2-3 weeks right after Batman v Superman came out, they started filming Justice League. And I think that was a little overambitious on DC's part. Granted, the whole announcing their cinematic universe slate I thought was overambitious, though I gave them a whole lot of respect for that. But again, I think it makes sense that they don't want to make that same mistake because they had to almost course correct a lot of the criticisms that Batman v Superman got in Justice League. Just from what we saw of the footage of Justice League, it seems a lot more lighter in tone, a bit more lighthearted and fun, which is fine. But Warner Brothers are just so reactionary with their movies, in particular the superhero movies. Anytime enough people say one thing about one of their movies, they flip out and start to meddle and change things. And then again, it makes sense to, kind of push it back just to kind of make sure that the first Justice League movie does well, both financially and critically, and then you better believe that's when they'll announce they're going to start working on the Justice League movie almost right after that. But if it doesn't, honestly, I think if it meets the same reception as Batman v Superman, where it's very divided, I don't think they're going to do a Justice League 2. They might focus a bit more on the solo movies, like a Man of Steel 2, maybe another Batman movie, Wonder Woman sequel. Then maybe a few years down the road, they'll try another Justice League movie, but I don't know. I think it's gonna be a rough road ahead of them. But it makes sense to move, Batman forward, because even the people like myself who wasn't crazy about Batman v Superman liked Ben Affleck as Batman. And I'm one of those people where I was very much opposed to Ben Affleck being Batman. We even did an entire podcast of recasting the entire Justice League, characters and actors, because none of us here at Pasty Pill were really fans of who they cast in the DC Cinematic Universe, really. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description if you all want to check that video out. However, I was pleasantly surprised at how much I like Ben Affleck as Batman. So, I'm glad to be proven wrong in that aspect. And again, since most people liked Ben Affleck as Batman, and he's also a really solid director, because he's going to direct it, he's also writing in the script right now, It just makes sense from a business standpoint, and just to get people more excited and kind of bring people back, kind of give them faith that the DC Cinematic Universe can thrive if they, kind of push forward the Batman movie and kind of shows a bit more confidence in it. Because really, up until just the other day when they announced this whole shift, it just seemed like Warner Brothers was, for whatever reason, very iffy on the whole Batman movie. They're kind of like, yeah, we're making it, we don't know when we're going to release it, and, Ben Affleck's working on it with Jeff Johns, but, that's kind of all we know. And, Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns might have said a few things about the movie, but that was about it. So, like, that, again, that kind of makes sense, and I would much prefer, if anything, to push back that Justice League movie for the sole fact of giving us a good script. Because that was, of all the flaws in Batman v Superman, my biggest issue was that script. That was all over the place. There is no reason that movie should have been as messy as it was. So, hopefully, by pushing the release date back, they'll have a solid script, good character development, they'll just be able to flesh everything out to where it makes sense and there's not like 5 different stories crammed into one. So, okay, I'm cool with that overall, although I'm still a little hesitant, but I'll kind of get into that a little bit more as I progress into the news that just dropped earlier today. So, again, there was a lot of talks after, again, the popularity of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, which, again, a bit of a critically divided movie. I liked it. It's not particularly a good movie, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was entertaining. But again, the script was not very good because they rushed David Ayer into the movie. They only gave him like 6 weeks to write the script before jumping into filming. Now, typically 6 weeks, that's kind of your standard script writing time frame. However, with most movies, especially the big blockbuster ones, after that 6-week period, whoever the main writer is, the script then gets passed to other writers just to kind of like look over it, touch it up a little bit, just kind of polish it up, make it, make improvements wherever that it needs be. As far as I know, that didn't happen. It was basically, he finished the script, turned it into Warner Brothers, they were probably just like, okay, cool, let's make this happen. And that shouldn't be what they're doing. Because, again, the Warner Brother movies, these DC movies, they're making money. But they can make so much more money if they would just, like, lock down the script. Make that goal number one. Make a good, write a good script first. Make a good movie first. Then layer it and skin it with the superheroes. Make it the, superhero movie. Add in the Batman, all that stuff. So that's one thing that, Marvel had been just dominating with. Not trying to, throw fuel on the fire of the whole Marvel DC divide, but you gotta at least, you gotta acknowledge that Marvel are doing it right in so many different ways. But one of which is, probably one of the best examples is Captain America: Civil War, or Civil War, but more specifically, Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier was a really good spy espionage thriller. That was the main story of that movie. It just so happened to also be a Captain America movie. Because what the writers did, the Russo brothers, they basically, again, they wrote a good script first, with good character development, and then that's when they layered it with, Captain America and Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that stuff. That's what DC needs to do. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that all these movies, Batman v Superman, even though I didn't care for it that much, felt very comic booky. Visually, especially visuals with these movies, they feel like a comic book movie, but they're just... That's kind of all they are. It's just like this hollow shell of what these things should be and what I want them to be. But again, I like Suicide Squad for as flawed, as flawed as it was. And again, even the people who didn't like Suicide Squad, all admitted that Will Smith and Margot Robbie were the best parts of that movie. Because again, they had great chemistry, they fit the roles really well. And so Warner Brothers have announced that they are going to do a Birds of Prey movie. Which again, Margot Robbie even pitched the idea to Warner Brothers after she fell in love with the character of Harley Quinn. studying up for the role of the character. She read some of the comics. I like that. And I like that Warner Brothers are willing to take the risk of a Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey type movie. And apparently even a Deadshot solo movie. Again, I like the fact that they're willing to take risks on these characters. But to me, all this changing around with release dates and all that stuff further proves my fear when DC first announced their slate of movies. They don't really have a solid plan. They're announcing things and then they're kind of seeing where it goes. And that's not what you want to do with a cinematic universe of any kind, whether it be a comic book one or whatever. If you're trying to build some kind of cohesive, connected universe where everything kind of correlates and just flows together, you have to have a solid plan. They've put more effort into this Harley Quinn movie. Hell, even the Justice League Dark has a director attached to it, Doug Liman. Cyborg. We have heard no news from Cyborg or Shazam, aside from The Rock being in Shazam. That's it. And those movies were announced a year and a half ago, when Warner Brothers first announced their cinematic universe slate of movies. Flash has lost 3 of its directors. And again, a lot of this stuff is standard studio. This stuff happens. Movies lose directors, they lose writers and actors and all that stuff. That happens. They change release dates. Even Marvel has swapped release dates and changed out directors for various reasons. It happens. But right now with Warner Brothers and DC, I feel like it's happening at such a fast rate, and I've been trying to be very optimistic with, again, the whole DC cinematic universe. Again, even though I didn't really like Batman v Superman, even though I enjoyed Suicide Squad, it's not that good of a movie, just in terms of writing and mostly writing. I don't understand, because Warner Brothers are a good studio. When you actually look at a lot of their films, they are a good studio. Why they can't seem to grasp the concept of doing a good cinematic universe with great characters. Again, these characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they've been around 70 years. 70 plus years. And that should be perfect to just easily, take the source material and adapt it into, live action. But again, for whatever reason, they're just kind of saying things. Oh, Harley Quinn, we're gonna make a movie of that. We're gonna make a Shazam movie. And then 6 months down the road, someone's like, yeah, what are we doing about Shazam? They're like, ah, shit, that's right. Harley Quinn was popular. Let's do a Harley Quinn movie, distract people. We'll worry about Shazam later. We may or may not do that. Probably not. And last I heard, Cyborg, I don't know if it was official or not, Cyborg was canceled, which wouldn't surprise me. Even if it isn't canceled, it wouldn't surprise me if they do cancel it, just because they're really on a rocky start right now. And it sucks so much, because I'm not bashing Warner Brothers and DC because I'm a big Marvel fan or whatever. Because I have anything against Warner Brothers and DC. I love DC. I love the characters. That's why I'm getting so frustrated with the decisions they're making. And just... because honestly, Batman v Superman was a little embarrassing. There's no reason that movie shouldn't have been great. Or at least good. But it was so sloppily done and rushed. And again, Suicide Squad was rushed. And that's my biggest fear, is even though I like the idea of a Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey movie, maybe a Deadshot movie, I'm open to it. It's not... Of all the DC characters that could have a solo movie, Deadshot's way down there. But hey, again, the fact that they're even considering it is cool. The fact that they're willing to take a risk. But I just feel like they're just going to rush these movies because, they were really popular in Suicide Squad. Let's spin them off into another movie. Now again, there is a chance that Warner Brothers do have a solid plan. Maybe once they appointed Jeff Johns as the kind of creative consultant, the head guy. Maybe he just kind of cleaned up shop. Was like, you guys get out. I'm in charge. Let's not do these movies. Let's do these movies instead. Or maybe a writer pitched him a great idea for this Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, and they were like, we can't pass up on this opportunity. Let's go ahead and greenlight this and make it as soon as possible. Let's hope that's the case, but I doubt it. That's another thing, too. Even with Jeff Johns, I was really excited that they brought him in to kind of be the creative consultant, kind of Kevin Feige type. I'm not seeing any results yet. Now, again, this could easily change. But so far, it doesn't seem like anything has changed at all. It seems like with all the Warner Brothers change up with like the executives and all that, I feel like no progress has been made, really. And maybe, again, part of the reason why is, because here's probably the biggest difference between Marvel and DC. With Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige is the president of Marvel Studios. So basically, he single-handedly is in charge of most of the big decisions with the Marvel movies. Now, granted, he still has to, answer to Bob Iger and another guy whose name escapes me, the heads of Disney. But overall, he's proven he's got a pretty solid track record. I imagine there's not really a problem there. They just kind of like, hey, Kevin, go do your thing, man. You want to do a weird, crazy, trippy movie about a dude that does magic tricks? Awesome. And Doctor Strange was amazing. And again, financially, critically, huge success. Whereas with Warner Brothers, even if Jeff Johns, again, is the kind of Kevin Feige type, he still has to report to all sorts of other studio executives. And I think that's kind of the biggest issue here is Warner Brothers need to just... There's too many cooks in the kitchen. They need to just be like, all right, look, all your other studio execs, by all means, give your notes. But aside from that, you get the hell out. You let Jeff Johns or whoever else do their thing, or at least establish a solid plan first. Then you can give your notes, and we'll go from there. But for the most part, you shut the hell up, and you go away and let this man do his thing. So that way we can have a solid, long-term plan for, a phase, down to, phase 6 of DC Cinematic Universe, which would be amazing, because that's what we want as fans. We want to see DC succeed. We want them to compete with Marvel. So that way, the better the DC movies do financially and critically, the better they are, then Marvel will have to start stepping up their game even more. Because that's the whole thing with competition. It motivates people. And already, again, Marvel are just killing it. You would think that would be DC's motivation to step up their movies instead of rushing and making a sloppy mess of a movie. So, sorry this is kind of turning more into a rant, but again, it frustrates the hell out of me as a fan that they announced all these movies and we get all excited and again, me personally, and it seems like half the other fans of all the DC movies have been let down. I loved Man of Steel. I will defend that movie. But again, that's kind of their best movie so far, and even that movie's been heavily divided. Ugh. Come on, Warner Brothers, get your shit together, please. If anything, even not for the fans, just do it, so that way you can make even more money. Because that's your main goal as a business, to make money. So, make a solid movie, or movies, plural, preferably, for all of us. Because that's one thing to just throw, a script together in 6 weeks, and then bam, there you go, you have a movie that makes money. But again, Batman v Superman, I guarantee you would have made over $1 billion if they had given, not if they had given it more time, if they'd actually just had one singular, cohesive story rather than 5 different stories shoved in one. I guarantee you would have made $1 billion. It would have cracked that mark, and DC would have been off to a great start. But again, they've been rushing it, and I'm still holding out hope. Wonder Woman looks great. Wonder Woman won Comic-Con for me. That trailer was amazing. The second trailer, probably even better in my opinion. So I am super, super pumped for Wonder Woman. I hope it's great for so many different reasons. And I hope for the best for Justice League as well. But again, until I see a full trailer, not just footage, of Justice League, I'm still a little, I don't know, apprehensive. So, please, Warner Brothers, again, if not for the fans who you should be doing these movies for, if not for the fans, just make good movies. That way you can make more money. It's common sense. That should be your goal. Again, if not for the fans to, give us the amazing, nerdy comic book greatness that we deserve and want, just make good movies so you can make more money. And we can keep paying you our money to see more of your movies. So those are my thoughts on the whole DC movie swap of the release dates and announcing of movies. Again, sorry this turned a little bit into a rant, but again, it's hard not to just be frustrated when they could do so much better. So hopefully I didn't alienate you all, and hopefully I didn't anger anyone with my thoughts. But again, that's kind of the beauty with films, is they're so subjective to one's opinion. The fact that people loved Batman v Superman is amazing, and I like that. I like the fact that people loved Batman v Superman and Man of Steel and Suicide Squad, and I hope that they continue to love the DC movies, even if all of them turn out to be not so great. But let's hope they do. Please, let's all hold hands and, I don't know, pray or send good thoughts, whatever it is people do to get things done. Let's hope that happens, and from Wonder Woman on, all the DC movies are great. But that wraps up this video. Ended up being a little bit lengthier than I expected, but hopefully you enjoyed it anyways. And again, we'll not be completely alienated and, send angry comments and all that stuff in the comment section. But if you do, whatever, your hate completes me. But before we wrap this up, as always, you can find us on Facebook at PastyPale Productions to get news and updates and all things going on with the channel. Same with Twitter at PastyPalePro. Feel free to follow us there for, again, news, updates, all things going on with the channel and upcoming projects and all that stuff. And then you can always follow me at my own personal Twitter page at IrishmanJake. Tweet me your thoughts, even if they're angry thoughts, and you hate me for not liking Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. That's totally fine. Although, if you do disagree with me, let's at least try to have a civil conversation like adults. Or, again, just send all cap letters of hate and swear words and all that stuff, too. That's totally fine. And then, two things I'd like to promote before I end this. We have two podcasts coming towards the end of the year, one of which is our annual top 10 movies of 2016. So every year we do our top 10 lists of the movies and albums. So we'll have our top 10 movies of 2016 probably in January is when we'll have it uploaded. Because, there's still some movies we want to see later this month. Like Rogue One. Oh yeah, seeing that tomorrow. Assassin's Creed, I want to go see, and a handful of others. So probably like early January we'll have our top 10 movies podcast, and same with our top 10 albums of 2016 as well. Because the three of the four of us here at PastyPale Productions are huge music junkies and always listen to music along with movies. So if you all would like to participate with this top 10 list, feel free to submit your top 10 list of your movies or albums of 2016. And then if you haven't seen 10 movies or you haven't listened to 10 albums, just submit your list of your top 5 or 4, however many movies you've seen or however many albums you've listened to. If any, feel free to submit them either in the comment section below in this video, on the Facebook page, or tweet me your list on Twitter. Then I'll probably do a separate video after our top 10 lists, and I will showcase you all's lists. That way this makes it a bit more of an interactive, fun experience for all of us. So that finally wraps this video up. And again, hopefully you all have enjoyed. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, everyone, cheers.